Chapter 1671. Life and Mask. Snap. Fang Yuan snapped his fingers once again. 5. The surroundings immediately started moving again from the motionless state. That merman couple continued to walk forward while holding hands. Amidst the haggling at the stall, the saliva spit landed on the customer's face, but he did not realize it. The small dog's 3 legs landed on the ground. It smoothly moved past the blue-scaled merman and continued to pass nimbly through the crowd of legs. Xiaolin took everything in with surprise and curiosity. This was too magical. Master Chu's methods are truly powerful. This is probably a rank 5-time path killer move. One Xiaolin guessed. Plop. That male Gu master, who Xiaolin had collided into, fell down to the ground and even affected the person behind, creating a small chaos. You are so big, don't you know how to walk? Someone scolded. Sorry. The well-built male Gu master politely apologized. This was, after all, the sacred city of the mermen. Meanwhile, the people in this paradise were less irritable than in the 5 regions. I was walking properly. How could I trip? Strange. The male Gu master looked puzzled as he quickly stood up and moved with the crowd. Xiaolin apologized softly while gazing at the receding figure of the male Gu master. However, she felt a bit of joy like that of a prankster. Just as she was about to criticize herself, her hand was grabbed by Fang Yuan. Follow me. Fang Yuan dragged her to the lion dance team. The lion dance team was stunned at first before dancing even more joyfully. The accompanying music was immediately raised. We have all the characters now, huh? One dancer laughed heartily. You know how to dance, right? Fang Yuan smiled and moved his legs. He was playing the role of the filial fisherman. His movements were subtle and natural, having their own beauty. Span, too. The surrounding people immediately cheered and hooted. Fang Yuan followed the crowd while dancing towards Xiaolin. Your turn. Fang Yuan's voice was secretly transmitted to Xiaolin's ears. Xiaolin's heart was beating loudly from nervousness. Despite her practicing this play often when she was a child, she had never performed before a large crowd. She began to dance with stiff movements. Fang Yuan laughed as he took her hands and led her. He secretly used wisdom path methods. Xiaolin immediately started feeling nimble. All kinds of dance postures of this place surfaced in her mind with extreme clarity. The two sang and danced and moved along with the crowd. The lion dance team was wearing colorful costumes and strange-looking masks. There were also some who jointly acted as an enormous golden sea lion. They attracted attention wherever they moved. And as the male and female protagonists of the team, even more eyes were focused on Fang Yuan and Xiaolin. Xiaolin was extremely tense at the start, but the more she danced, the better and more confident she felt. She was immersed in the joyful atmosphere. Forgetting about the injustice she suffered as cheers, shouts, and whistling filled her ears. Even when Xiaolin made some mistakes in her movements, there was only kind laughter. The crowd continued to move. Some left the lion dance team, while some joined. Unknowingly, Xiaolin started laughing brightly, an unprecedented level of happiness which she had never felt before in the sacred city filled her heart. She was immersed in this happiness, unable to extricate herself from it. At the same time, she felt fear that this was not real. It truly is like I am dreaming. Xiaolin's heart was filled with emotions, her gaze never leaving Fang Yuan. Time to leave. Suddenly, Fang Yuan's movements changed. He dragged Xiaolin away from the opera team and walked to the side of the street. Xiaolin was caught unprepared and got pulled directly into Fang Yuan's embrace. She bumped into Fang Yuan's chest. A strong, manly smell entered her nose. She quickly held the mask that had almost fallen down, hiding her reddened face. Here. Fang Yuan moved quickly while pulling her, walking into an alley. It was another lonely alley with dim lighting and the stench of garbage. Fang Yuan released Xiaolin's hand and quickly walked ahead. Xiaolin immediately felt an empty feeling as she followed behind. The two moved in the long alley, one in front and another in back. Fang Yuan did not utter a sound, the alley echoing his monotonous footsteps. The sounds from the rowdy street became softer and softer as they moved further into the alley. A lonely and cold feeling pervaded Xiaolin's body and heart. The previous happiness and joyful feelings started disappearing from Xiaolin's heart. Gradually, worries began to find her once again, and her previous depression began to surge. Xiaolin wanted to find some topics to talk with Fang Yuan, but Fang Yuan had been moving ahead without even turning his head back. The oppressive atmosphere made Xiaolin not dare to casually speak. Finally, they reached the exit of the alley. The street here, although not as lively as the previous, was also filled with crowds and was boisterous. Fang Yuan suddenly stopped and turned towards Xiaolin. "Have you thought it through?" Xiaolin was stunned. Thought what through?" Fang Yuan smiled, pointing at the mask Xiaolin was wearing. "Do you want to wear it to cross the street, or do you want to walk in the crowd showing your own face?" Xiaolin was stunned again. Fang Yuan continued, "I took off my mask when I entered the alley, but you are still wearing it. Why? Do you feel ashamed? Do you feel afraid of looking at people with your face? Worried that if you confront life, you will lose the happiness from earlier?" A series of questions caught Xiaolin unprepared and unable to reply. After a while of silence, she seemed to have understood something as she took down the mask, revealing her face. "Master Chu, I understand your intentions. Thank you. I truly thank you. I am only an ordinary mermaid." Fang Yuan stretched out his hand, interrupting her. "I have said it before, your current situation is largely because of me. I need to compensate you for this." "Master, what are you saying? You have shown enormous kindness to me by gifting me gather oil goo. You don't owe me anything at all. In fact, it is I who owes you everything." Xiaolin quickly said, "That is how you interpret it, not me." Fang Yuan shook his head, his expression turning solemn. "Look back on it. You were previously taunted and jeered by others, but just earlier, you were showered with welcomes and cheers. What is the reason for such a big difference? Could it be because of this mask? But in fact, you had been yourself all along. Isn't that so?" Xiaolin nodded. Fang Yuan looked at the street outside the alley and pointed at the passing crowd. "Take a look now. These people don't want to inspect your true self and who Xiaolin truly is. When we were dancing and singing, they also did not want to know our names. They are only expressing their attitude. The true situation is not important to them. Ordinary people chase after the truth because they are usually angry and indignant about being made a fool of. So to them, we are not important at all, and to us, their attitude should similarly not be important." Xiaolin took a deep breath. "Master Chu, thank you for comforting me. I truly can't thank you enough. I have not finished speaking. Since the attitude of outsiders is not important, what is truly important in our lives?" Fang Yuan asked with a smile. Xiaolin was stunned for the third time. "Master, forgive my ignorance." Fang Yuan pointed at Xiaolin and then pointed at himself. "It is us ourselves. It is our truest feelings. Ask yourself, listen to the voice in the depths of your heart. What do you want to do? What kind of person you want to become? Where do you want to go? You will obtain the answer in the depths of your heart. If you want to travel, then travel around the world. If you want to treat others well, then treat them properly. If you want to attempt flying, then collect money and resources to purchase and practice flying goo worms." Fang Yuan pointed at the alley, then at the street. "If you want to remain in the alley, you can stay. If you want to walk into the street and enjoy the event with others, then walk out. Don't mistreat your own feelings because of their attitude. If you mistreat yourself frequently, then you will end up with regrets. You will constantly wear a mask to act as another person. You will no longer be yourself." When the moment she heard that, Xiaolin felt that her mind had cleared up. It was as if she received enlightenment. All her previous worries and distress were swept away entirely. Chapter 1672. Stop being so naive. Translator, Atlas Studios Editor. Atlas Studios, Master, I will never forget your guidance in my life. The mermaid took a step back and bowed solemnly towards Fang Yuan. Fang Yuan laughed heartily. "My efforts were not in vain. But sometimes, it is easier said than done. I'll ask you now, what is it that you want to do the most at this moment?" Xiaolin hesitated. "I want to follow you." This was the first thing that popped up in her mind. But before she spoke, she saw Fang Yuan shaking his head. "You still haven't thought properly. You have time to think about it later. Actually, I am not concerned about what you want to do. Do you know what I want to do?" Xiaolin shook her head, but at the next moment, her eyes opened wide and her body stiffened, because Fang Yuan had slowly stretched out his hand and stroked her face. Thump, 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 thump. Xiaolin's face blushed red, her heart thumped wildly, and watery ripples appeared in her eyes. She felt Fang Yuan's wide palm and the warmth from it. This feeling was like a slight electric shock that transmitted to her body and mind. It was clearly an ordinary action, but Xia Lin was unable to even budge. Fang Yuan took back his hand. "You still have a mask on." Xia Lin was puzzled, but she heard Fang Yuan speak. "Sometimes, we wear a mask of our own initiative. Sometimes, others force us to wear a mask. Right now, I want to take away the mask on your face. Cooperate with me, okay?" Master, you don't need." Xia Lin vaguely knew what Fang Yuan wanted to do as she stuttered. Fang Yuan shook his hand. "I will not be happy unless I take this mask off. I don't want to betray my feelings. Since you feel that you owe me, then cooperate with me as compensation, okay?" How could Xia Lin refuse after hearing this? She knelt on the ground and made 3 kowtows to Fang Yuan before quietly standing up. "Master Chu, I will do whatever you want me to do." "Okay, then become the saintess." "What?" Several days later, the Sea God ceremony's final test had gathered the attention of everyone. It was looking at Xia Lin with shock, as if she had seen a ghost. The 2 nannies were also stunned. Following the Grand Elder's explanation, the crowd went into a commotion. Sue was very confident of victory, because her competitor had suffered heavy injuries in the previous round and was unable to step up to compete in such a short duration. But who could have thought that a surprise would occur? The competitor's younger sister, who had been separated for many years, was found. It was this mermaid, Xia Lin. Isn't this too melodramatic? Unbelievable. Xia Lin, isn't she the person who betrayed Su Yi for her own gains? That is a lie that Su Yi's supporters spread intentionally. The true reason is that Su Yi wanted to free up a follower quota. I heard that investigator pleaded guilty. His conversation where he pressured Xia Lin was recorded and is ironclad evidence. This is more dramatic than an opera play. The discussions among the audience became more heated. The 2 nannies conversed secretly. What is going on? How did the public sentiment change all of a sudden? Also, we never arranged for the investigator. Why did he admit guilt for no reason? Su Yi's expression was extremely unsightly, while Xia Lin was calmly looking at the crowd. Fang Yuan's guidance had elevated her mind and spirit to another level. Su Yi felt even more stifled when she saw that Xia Lin did not even look at her. She snorted coldly. "Xia Lin, I truly didn't think we would meet again, and in this way. I also didn't expect this." Xia Lin looked at Su Yi and said honestly, the huge setbacks and gains that she experienced over these days felt like a dream. Su Yi snorted once again. "No matter what scheme you have, this last test is not something a casually selected mermaid can pass. This Sea God ceremony's saintess position is mine." "Oh," Xia Lin lightly replied. Su Yi felt like her provocation had ended up hitting air. She felt terribly irritated. Xia Lin scanned through the surrounding crowd once again. There were too many people. "Master Chu said he will watch me from the crowd. But where is he? I am not able to find him at all. Could he have disguised his appearance? He has vast mystical prowess. If he wants to hide, I will never be able to find him. After this matter is over, I will tell him I want to follow him. I wonder if he will agree." Xia Lin's mind lingered on this question. Compared to the answer to this question, the saintess position did not have any attraction to her. In the first round, Xia Lin was slightly better than Su Yi. In the second round, Xia Lin won against Su Yi by a little. This result greatly surpassed expectations, causing the audience to be in a commotion. Everyone revealed shock. Fang Yuan, who was hiding among the audience, looked shocked like the surrounding people, but his heart was tranquil. He had trained Xia Lin over these days, using immortal level time path methods to gain a large amount of time to train her to a certain level, along with Fang Yuan's personally chosen songs, which were unique, and the sound path goo worms he prepared specially for Xia Lin. Moreover, when Su Yi and Xia Lin stepped on the stage to sing, Fang Yuan had even secretly tampered and influenced their performances. The former's performance became choppy while the latter's performance became increasingly better due to his support. Besides us outsiders, there is probably no goo immortal in this grotto heaven. Now that I am using immortal level methods, is there any worry that I can't control this grand ceremony of mortal goo masters? What should we do? The third round is about to start. The 2 nannies were sweating from anxiety. They were sent by the clan to specially assist Su Yi. If Su Yi did not get the saintess position, They would have to suffer the punishment. Sue was pale as she looked at Xiaolin. Everything felt like a dream. As far as Sue was concerned, Xiaolin was a dull and ordinary girl. It was only because she possessed gather oil goo and was a mermaid that Sue had used her. Although she had not felt comfortable doing this to Xiaolin, she did not feel like it was a huge deal. Even if Xiaolin wanted to take revenge, what revenge could she take? She, a person with no background and only rank 2 cultivation, wasn't she asking for others to use her? If not for the saintess position being in sight, and Sue not wanting to divert her attention, she would have taken the chance to scheme for Xiaolin's rank 5 goo worm. This was not considered repaying kindness with enmity. Could a rank 2 goo master protect a rank 5 goo worm? A person's wealth is their own ruin by causing another's greed. So, to Sue rather than Xiaolin being killed by others in the future, it was better to persuade Xiaolin to offer gather oil goo to the clan of her own initiative. Like this, her own side would obtain benefits, and she would also not die. It could also be considered as Sue helping her. This was a small plan in Suyi's mind. But, as the saintess position was too important, Sue did not dare to split her attention and also did not want to attract criticism. So she could only spare Xiaolin for the moment. If it were before, and someone told her Xiaolin would be her biggest obstacle in becoming the saintess, Sue would have replied with only a chuckle. Now though, Sue wanted to say to herself, life was truly too cruel. With Fang Yuan personally forging a fake identity for Xiaolin, who would be able to see through it? Nobody in this huge sacred city could. So this evidence which proved Xiaolin's identity was irrefutable and ironclad. Even Sue believed Xiaolin's identity was truly like so. Oh destiny, this is truly too big of a joke. Sue heaved a deep sigh. Young miss, what should we do? The 2 nannies were out of ideas. We cannot do anything in front of such a large crowd. We also don't have the time. There is only one option left. I will personally persuade her. Sue remained silent for a while before uttering through clenched teeth. She transmitted her voice to Xiaolin. Xiaolin, I am Sue. Xiaolin was surprised, but her expression calmed down quickly as she replied. What's the matter? Sue organized her thoughts and said, I want to make a deal with you. Lose the next round and let me be the saintess. I swear in the name of the sea god that I will pay a price that will satisfy you completely. Even if my power is not enough, my family will be able to satisfy you. Xiaolin remained silent for a moment before saying, Sorry, but I don't be in a hurry to reject me, Xiaolin. You are too young. Maybe you still don't recognize the significance of the saintess position. What do you think the saintess is? Just a belief? Or a superficial selection? Both are wrong. It involves benefits. It involves the interests of the whole sacred city's higher-ups. This is a political game. I know you want to take revenge against me, but do you know your situation is extremely dangerous right now? Once you become the saintess, you will be in an even bigger danger. Your elder sister's side pushed you to the stage because they did not have other candidates, so they are only putting up a front. Once you become the saintess, they will use all their strength to make you into their puppet. They will make you do things that match their benefits. Although I have not been in much contact with you, I understand you. You are pure and kind. If you become the saintess, you will probably try to fight for benefits of the mermen and mermaids. But you definitely won't succeed because you are not a person of any political force. You are just an outsider. Unless you join one of the forces and become the representative of their benefits, or else you will be excluded by everyone and will become the most powerless saintess in history. But if you choose to transact with me, the benefits you will obtain will surpass your imagination. It will be much more than the benefits you can obtain from your elder sister's side. Please believe in my sincerity. Sue had an amazingly eloquent tongue. Even Xiaolin felt moved. But she replied, Lady Sue, I understand your sincerity, but I cannot agree to you in this matter. Why? Suyi's tone was hurried. You think I am deceiving you? Although it is cruel, what I have said are all truthful. Stop being so naive, okay? Xiaolin remained silent. Chapter 1673, Guyu Fang Yuan. Translator, Atlas Studios Editor. Atlas Studios Fang Yuan's first life of 500 years. Sea God Ceremony. Naive, facing Frost Tide Tribe's leader's long-winded speech, Fang Yuan fell into silence. but he only fell silent for a short period before he chuckled and transmitted his voice. You think I am not aware of what you said? You think I am an inexperienced youngster? No, I understand all these tricks, clearly in fact. I know these truths and have accepted them. Fang Yuan was forced to leave Qingmao Mountain, wandering about in southern border before going to western desert and then to eastern sea. He struggled at the border of death. He had to worry about 1 or 2 primeval stones. He had to bow down and grovel before the strong in this destitute life. He had also once gained a high status, listening to reports from his subordinates while drinking tea. When he had been lowly, he had been glorious, he had been lofty, he had been ordinary. Considering his life on earth and the experiences after crossing over to this world, his vision was already beyond normal people. His experiences were plentiful, and he was very knowledgeable. How could such a person not understand these worldly affairs? Frost-Tide Tribe's leader was frustrated, replying quickly, "Since you know these truths, then you should know you are taking great risks now. This is our merman internal political battle. What are you, a weak human goo master, doing by meddling? You like Xiahanemo? I can guarantee that after this matter is finished, I will gift you many more beautiful mermaids. Don't doubt my sincerity. I can swear an oath to the sea god. There is indeed no need to doubt the sincerity of a merman who swears an oath to the sea god." But, Fang Yuan continued, "Although I accept these truths, it does not mean I like them. You think I like Xiahanemo? No, I only want to help her. Why am I taking such risks to help her? Because I have my own principle. Favors must be repaid. Hatred must be returned. I have used lifespan goo. I have lived much longer than you can imagine. I used to wish for a long life before, but now, I am tired of this thought. Life has become increasingly boring. Sometimes, the final destination of the journey is not important. The important thing is the process of the journey and how you feel during the journey." One Frost-Tide Tribe's leader involuntarily opened his eyes wide at these words. It was hard for him to understand Fang Yuan's way of life. "You are saying the position of saintess is not important. The important thing is helping Xiahanemo in this competition?" "Correct, but there is still more. You talked of the dark side of politics and promised to gift me mermaid beauties. Both have no importance to me. Let me put it this way so you might understand a little. I have lived long enough that I am already sick of wearing a mask to live. Death is not scary to me at all. Right now, I only want to live using my truest emotions and feelings. I will achieve my goals in my own way. Only by living like this can I feel the excitement of life and the desire towards living." Frost-Tide Tribe's leader was dumbstruck and stupefied. He finally understood as he shouted, "So that's it. You are a lunatic. You have said so much, but they are nothing more than saying you have lived long enough and don't want to live anymore. So be it you were a goo immortal, but you, a mere rank 3 goo master, want to live life your own way? You are dreaming." Fang Yuan smiled. "You think becoming a goo immortal can allow people to live according to their will? Live without wearing a mask. A place with people has society and conflict. Survival and living are 2 different things. The way you want to live does not have to depend on your strength and cultivation level, but your own heart." After a brief pause, Fang Yuan continued, "Actually, low strength is also quite interesting. When you live without a mask, low strength will allow you to face more difficulties and challenges of reality. Surpass these difficulties, face these challenges, and life becomes much more wonderful." Frost-Tide Tribe's leader stood stupefied. His eyes and mouth were wide open as he was unable to say anything. His sight moved across the crowd of people, landing on Fang Yuan. He saw a slight smile. A chill rose in his heart. This person has such strange and deviant thoughts that differ from common logic. He has an inclination towards self-destruction. He has likely turned demonic. It would not matter if he did not play by the rules. The more terrifying thing was he did not think according to the rules. His thought process was completely different from ordinary people. He was already too far away from the norm. This was a demon. This is a true demon. Frost-Tide Tribe's leader felt a chill. He felt this was Fang Yuan's true nature. Even though Fang Yuan did not wantonly slaughter lives, even though Fang Yuan currently still committed acts of kindness like repaying favors, Frost-Tide Tribe's leader felt a deep powerlessness at the same time. If it were an inexperienced youngster, he could have disguised himself as a senior to guide him and let him know the complexities and some dark truths of society. But Fang Yuan understood them well. He almost knew everything way too clearly. What made him even more helpless was that Fang Yuan's thoughts completely differed from others. He is too strong-minded and stubborn. He clearly only has rank 3 cultivation. How dare he? Unreasonable, unreasonable. A lunatic, a madman. He is too arrogant. He actually shows contempt for life and death. Right? He does not even fear death. What would he not dare to do? All the wealth, beauties, and status in the world might be useless when compared to his own true feelings. What else do I have to entice him? Frost-Tide Tribe's leader was going crazy. The more he thought, the more he realized, the more he knew Fang Yuan had no fear and would not be enticed. There might be a day when he is enticed, but it would be because he himself wanted to be enticed, and it would be his genuine intention that it was not easy for people to live in this world. That was the case for mermen as well. Frost-Tide Tribe's leader had high authority and status, but it was even harder for him. The elders of Merman's sacred city were pressuring him from above, while many of his subordinates were scheming against each other or coveting his position. He had a lot of children who were looking for power and authority, and there were deep conflicts between his many wives. Everything required his supervision and arrangements. Was it wrong for him to be corrupt? No. What was corruption? Corruption was no more than obtaining more benefits, and these benefits made other benefit holders feel unfair. It was similar to dividing a cake. In normal cases, you take a piece, and I take a piece. Now, I secretly took another piece which made you jealous. You complain. You broke our distribution agreement. What gives you the rights to take so much? This was corruption. Did you think the Grand Elder's side which supports the saintess was not corrupt? There would be more or less some corruption. Even if the Grand Elder herself was not corrupt, what about her subordinates? Her children? It was just that they were not as heavily corrupt as Frost-Tide Tribe's leader. Even if the Grand Elder's side was completely free from corruption, they were still higher-ups, people who enjoyed the cake, and also people who exploited others. From this aspect, everyone was an exploiter. What difference was there? They were all the same. So, Frost-Tide Tribe's leader had never felt his corruption was wrong. He only wanted to obtain more wealth, beauties, and authority. As his corruption increased, he was gradually pushing beyond the distribution agreement. But he did not want to stop. The greed in him did not allow him to stop. No, it is not greed. It is my aspiration. Many times, Frost-Tide Tribe's leader would shout this inwardly. There was a joke which was not a joke. The father asked his son, "What is your aspiration when you grow up?" The son replied, "I want wealth and beauties." The father slapped his son. The son replied again, "I want career and love." The father smiled and nodded his head lightly. Therefore, while career and love were aspirations, wealth and beauties were also aspirations. So, Frost-Tide Tribe's leader was confident in himself. Was there anything wrong with him chasing wealth, beauties, authority, and fame? Did you think it was crude? These were all aspirations. Which person's life was not filled with such aspirations? Frost-Tide Tribe's leader liked this aspiration from deep down because this aspiration spurred him on and also enticed others to pay and sacrifice for their aspirations and help him, Frost-Tide Tribe's leader, to achieve his aspiration. There was nothing wrong with his corruption. This was his aspiration. Aspirations should be practical and required effort to reach. When Frost-Tide Tribe's leader fell into corruption for the first time, he knew there would be a time when he would be opposed and blamed by others. But so what? These were natural and were difficulties and pains that he must experience in realizing his aspiration. As long as he passed these difficulties and subdued this suffering, Frost-Tide Tribe's leader could realize his aspiration as long as he used a series of political techniques like secret manipulation, indirect approaches, threats, and so on. He could realize his aspiration. Frost-Tide Tribe's leader, who had an authoritative status for a long time, was confident in this aspect. He indeed had the capital to be confident. If not for Fang Yuan appearing out of nowhere, he would have already pushed down Xiehan Mo and promoted his own pawn to the saintess position. Once he accomplishes this, he would have defeated the Grand Elder and successfully defended the fruits of success from his corruption. He would then use the puppet saintess to issue several policies, which would be for a good future of the mermen and also for Sacred City. He would be able to turn his corrupted history into legal events that would clear his reputation for good. At that time, who could say he was corrupted? But right when Frost Tide Tribe's leader was about to succeed, he failed. He completely failed, because he ran into Fang Yuan. This person had no aspirations. No, that was not exactly right. Frost Tide Tribe's leader believed Fang Yuan liked wealth, beauties, power, and fame too, but he liked to live by his own feelings even more. That was his aspiration. What was the point of having such a grand aspiration? With such an aspiration, wouldn't the majority of other people end up looking crude and ordinary? He was really courting death. Frost Tide Tribe's leader gritted his teeth with hatred. This hatred was intensified because of an unknown fear in the depths of his heart. Frost Tide Tribe's leader wished he could flay Fang Yuan. He wished Fang Yuan would immediately die, but he could not do so right now as this was the sea god. Ceremony. The final song. Xiahan Mo and Fang Yuan walked to the stage together. Fang Yuan played the accompaniment, while Xiahan Mo's song spread to the surroundings. The blue sea is laughing, the tidal waves are surging, drifting with the waves, only caring about today. Heaven laughs at this hectic mortal world. One who will win, who will lose, only heaven knows. Human lives have ups and downs like the waves, sometimes high, sometimes low. Why do we have to be always concerned about victory or defeat? The natural romanticism intoxicated the crowd. The rivers and mountains laugh. The misty rain is far away. How many great men and heroes have the tides washed away, smiling at the breeze wind, lost in quiet solitude? Heroic feelings remain, reflected in the cold night. Bold and lofty, free and unrestrained, all kinds of aspirations would be washed away by the waves. Even life itself will perish. But what is the big deal? A noble man is not a slave to external matters, aloof from the world, forgetting gains and losses. Destiny is fickle, so why uphold your disposition? Throw away your mask and find your true self. True self is unyielding. True self is lonely. Even if my life is the setting sun, I will live my own splendor. The audience was entranced. Frost Tide Tribe's leader was pale. His body shivered as he understood his loss was certain. The blue sea is laughing. The tidal waves are surging, drifting with the waves, only caring about today. Heaven laughs at this hectic mortal world. Who will win? Who will lose? Only heaven knows. The rivers and mountains laugh. The misty rain is far away. How many great men and heroes have the tides washed away? Common people laugh. There is no more loneliness. Yet the unyielding spirit in me is still laughing crazily. I struggle to survive in the mortal world. I came to life, and I joined the world. I lived my own life. I lived according to my own feelings. Even if the waves toss me up and down, sending me to the border of death, I will never grieve, lament, fear, or worry. I will savor these flavor thoroughly. I will still laugh crazily until the end. I am true to my nature. I am a true person. On the stage, Fang Yuan was wholeheartedly activating the goo worm with his eyes closed. The sound of the zither spreading throughout the area. Frost Tide Tribe's leader looked at him blankly, involuntarily mumbling, This demon. Xiahan Mo was also entranced as she sang. She looked at Fang Yuan, an extraordinary brightness shining in her eyes as she thought, such a free and unrestrained life. Isn't this what I yearn for? Fang Yuan is able to create such a song. He has the disposition of an immortal. Back to the present. Dragon Whale Grotto Heaven, Merman Sacred City, Sea God Ceremony. Xiaolin went on stage for the third song. The blue sea is laughing. The tidal waves are surging, drifting with the waves, only caring about today. Heaven laughs at this hectic mortal world. Who will win? Who will lose? Only heaven knows. The entire place was shocked. Su-yi turned pale. The outcome was already certain. Xiaolin was already entranced and singing at this moment. Master Chu's image was elevated infinitely in her heart. There was a moon and slight breeze in the background along with faint fog. The familiar melody rang once again in Fang Yuan's ears and intertwined with his memory. He had once stood on the stage as an accompanist, closing his eyes and slightly smiling. Now, he stood outside of the stage as a spectator, his eyes hiding dark light. After living for several hundred years, the vast power of time had changed him, but it also seemed like nothing had changed. He had always been Guyu Fang Yuan. Chapter 1674. Sudden Change, Regret Gu. Translator. Atlas Studios editor. Atlas Studios, the sea god ceremony ended. The result was astonishing. The person who became the saintess was completely unexpected by anyone. Xiaolin, Saintess Palace shined with bright and gorgeous lights. A group of servants were running around. Xiaolin had already changed into her saintess attire. She was dressed in a white garment while her tail rested on a lump of clouds. She opened the window and gazed at the large courtyard. Those colorful corals could not attract her gaze. She looked dazed and unfocused. Several days have passed since the sea god ceremony concluded. Master Chu has not appeared again after transmitting his message that day. When will he return? For Inch Saintess, your elder sister has come to pay a visit. At this moment, a maid lightly walked towards Xiaolin and reported. Xiaolin's brows slightly furrowed as she sighed. Please bring her in. Xiaolin's elder sister Zhao Lu walked into Saintess Palace. She was only Xiaolin's elder sister in name, but after Fang Yuan tampered with her memories, this elder sister did not doubt Xiaolin's identity. Little sister, have you considered what I said to you a few days ago? Zhao Lu said directly. Xiaolin shook her head lightly. I am really sorry. I don't want to get involved in other affairs. The saintess position was never my goal. If possible, I do not want to be the saintess. Zhao Lu laughed. Her laughter carried a sense of ridicule and jealousy. She was narrowly defeated by Su Yi in the final stage. Then Xiaolin came out of nowhere and was supported by her backers just to give it a try. They had not thought Xiaolin would truly succeed. The political force behind Zhao Lu, naturally, would not let go of Xiaolin and wanted to make her their representative for benefits. But before Fang Yuan left, he had instructed Xiaolin to not agree to any person or side with any political force, so Xiaolin had already refused Zhao Lu a few days ago. Naturally, Zhao Lu's mood would not be so good. First of all, her long-lost little sister had suddenly appeared. Besides the connection of blood, she did not feel any affection for this sister. Secondly, she had worked hard for so long, but in the end, Xiaolin, who had cut in line, snatched the position of saintess. This was the same as snatching her lifelong dream. Lastly, the force behind her still made her come out to persuade and rope in her younger sister Xiaolin. But Xiaolin still refused. With all these reasons, Zhao Lu's mood naturally could not be good. Xiaolin, if you truly didn't want to become saintess, why did you take part? Don't say such things to me. We both understand the situation here. Tell me whatever requests you have. This deal will make you fully satisfied. Zhao Lu spoke frankly. Xiaolin's brows furrowed deeper. She knew Zhao Lu was not her elder sister. This was just Master Chu's doing. And now that she heard such words from Zhao Lu, Xiaolin's impression of her worsened greatly. Elder sister. Xiaolin spoke softly. I am truly sorry. I really don't want to get involved in these matters. But you can rest assured that I won't collaborate with other forces as well. Zhao Lu's eyes opened wide. Xiaolin, you are truly naive. You actually have such thoughts? I had thought you were waiting for the right price. Sigh. I overestimated you. Since it is so, I will make it clear for you. You will die if you don't have our support, understand? Xiaolin was stunned as she stared at Zhao Lu. Don't tell me. Zhao Lu shook her head. Don't think wildly. We never had the intention to conspire against you even if you ended up not collaborating with us. You are the saintess, a person who has received the sea god's recognition, which Merman Force dares to make a move against you. Once the deed is exposed, they will face a terrible death. Every selected saintess has an important task. That is to go to Demon Suppression Regret Crying Sea and sing for 3 days and 3 nights, using her song to eliminate the increasingly dense demonic aura in Regret Crying Sea. This is an extremely dangerous task and has a very low survival rate. Many saintesses have passed away in Regret Crying Sea. Some who came back alive turned crazy. Although the saintess position is good, it carries enormous risks and danger. If not for this task, there would be at least 10 times more mermaids competing for the position of saintess. There is such a thing? Xiaolin was astonished. Zhao Lu laughed. You think I am deceiving you? This information might be hidden, but it is not any important secret. You can easily inquire about it with your current identity and position. You can casually find anyone to ask, but of course, ordinary mermen are in the dark about it. Among the sea areas controlled by the Sacred Court, the most dangerous is Demon Suppression Regret Crying Sea. It is an absolute forbidden area. According to legends, Paradise Earth Immortal Venerable suppressed a peerless demonic goo immortal in this sea area. The Immortal Venerable was too benevolent to take away the demonic goo immortal's life, so he sealed the demonic goo immortal to make him repent. This demonic goo immortal had no choice but to repent, so there are often sounds of crying in that sea area. But his sins are truly too heavy and his demonic nature is too strong. The demonic aura will accumulate after a period of time and start influencing the living organisms in the sea area, making them stronger, ferocious, and crueler. 3-inch The Saintess' task is to go the center of demon suppression regret crying sea and sing with all her strength, using her song to dispel the demonic aura. Otherwise, as time goes on, the demonic aura and demon suppression regret crying sea will keep on getting stronger, making the living beings in the sea area become more tyrannical and invasive. This demonic aura is infectious as well, which will expand the area of demon suppression regret crying sea. Xiao Lin showed a surprised expression as it was the first time she heard this secret. Even with support and ample preparations, the previous saintesses had to face extreme danger. If I go in alone without your help, it is almost like seeking death. Not almost, but definitely. Zhao Lu's tone was firm. She expected this could persuade Xiao Lin, but did not expect Xiao Lin to still reject. Even so, I won't collaborate. Even if it will result in your death? Zhao Lu's expression was cold. It was not that Xiao Lin did not have hesitation, but the image of Fang Yuan in her mind made her insist on abiding by the agreement she made with Fang Yuan. Yes, I am sure, even if I die. Zhao Lu was so furious that she laughed. If so, I only wish you good luck. The sisters parted on a bad note. Haha, it finally appeared. In front of Merit Obelisk, Fang Yuan's eyes emitted bright light. A new task had appeared on Merit Obelisk. Help the new saintess complete her most important mission. The task did not provide any details. By only looking at this task, outsiders would have no idea what the mission was, but Fang Yuan had already inquired about it. In the Merman's sacred court, the selected saintess had one important mission: to purify demon suppression regret crying sea. Fang Yuan could only enter demon suppression regret crying sea if there was such a task, but the issue was, Fang Yuan was not sure if this task would appear on the Merit Obelisk. So he needed to support a saintess, and this saintess should have low strength with no one to rely on. If so, the saintess would have no way to complete her mission and would require the help of outsiders. In this grotto heaven, there were no local goo immortals besides the suppressed demonic immortal. Demon suppression regret crying sea was extremely dangerous, accumulating demonic aura at set intervals. The restraining method of the grotto heaven was to select a saintess to quell it without regarding the sacrifices. The saintess mission was extremely important. If there was no successor to the saintess position for too long of a time, the demonic aura might even pervade the whole grotto heaven. But naturally, there might also be some backup methods left by Paradise Earth Immortal Venerable. What Fang Yuan did was to hasten the appearance of this task as far as possible, and from the results, his plan worked perfectly. Without any hesitation, Fang Yuan accepted the task and was once again teleported to Sacred City. Several days later, Saintess Xia Lin stood on a giant tortoise that was slowly advancing towards demon suppression regret crying sea. Behind her stood Fang Yuan. The journey was tranquil and calm, but all of a sudden, a gale blew towards them carrying with it crying sounds. I really regret it. Why did I have to provoke Paradise Earth Immortal Venerable? I regret it so much. Xia Lin jolted, quickly looking at Fang Yuan. Master Chu. No worries. Fang Yuan smiled while secretly using wisdom path methods to calm Xia Lin and the giant tortoise. The crying sound seemed like an immortal killer move that could disturb an ordinary being's emotions and mind. The nearer they reached demon suppression regret crying sea, the louder and more concentrated the crying sound became. I regret it. I should not have killed so many people. I painfully regret it. I should not have chased after power. It would have been much better if I had stayed behind to look after my parents as a filial son. I truly repent. I deceived everyone and concealed immortal goo. I let a friend, who trusted me the most, carry the blame so I could get benefits. The mournful cries made Xia Lin's face pale. while Fang Yuan instead became more excited because he already felt the large immortal formation in this place. I am now almost certain regret goo is here. But if I take regret goo, will it destroy Paradise Earth's arrangements and trigger his backup methods? Fang Yuan was doubtful. Regret goo was very important. It was used to suppress the giant demon in the sea and was clearly not included in Paradise Earth's true inheritance. But as far as Fang Yuan was concerned, it was a crucial goo worm he had to take, and he had decided to take the risk. He focused his mind, activating investigative methods with all his strength. This demon suppression regret crying formation gradually appeared in his mind, becoming increasingly clearer. This time, it was Fang Yuan who became pale. Such a powerful formation. It is as vast as the sky. My formation path attainment level is high, and I also have extremely powerful wisdom path methods, but I would need at least dozens of years to comprehend all the profundities of this large formation. Cold sweat started seeping out of Fang Yuan's forehead when his mind suddenly jolted. Regret goo. He discovered regret goo. Although regret goo was hidden, Fang Yuan had already determined regret goo was hiding somewhere in the center of the sea area through all kinds of clues and arrangements. How should I take regret goo? If I move rashly and trigger the formation's backlash, it would end up badly. Maybe I can rely on reverse flow protection seal to resist it one time. Or borrow the strength of the suppressed demon? Fang Yuan analyzed continuously in his mind. If the demon was released, all the living beings of this small world might face extreme misery and suffering. But Fang Yuan had no misgivings or pity. Just as Fang Yuan was thinking, a change occurred. The large formation suddenly activated. Regret goo shot out directly towards Fang Yuan at the same time. An extremely boundless force emerged and pressed on Fang Yuan's body. What happened? At the next moment, Fang Yuan disappeared, directly leaving this grotto heaven of Paradise Earth. Chapter 1675. Birth of Red Lotus 2. Dark clouds covered the sky, and heavy rain was pouring down. Rumble. Lightning flashed, and thunder rumbled. In Central Continent, inside the City Lord's manor in Maple Leaf City, the Maple Leaf City Lord was pacing back and forth outside a room. He had a square face and a dignified temperament. Right now, however, his brows were tightly furrowed and his mood was like this weather, erratic and uneasy, feeling extremely worried. Suddenly, he stopped in his tracks and leaned in with his ear pressing on the door. Besides the torrential rainstorm and thunder, he could hear painful groans from his wife as well as several midwives' voices. "Madam, push harder." Maple Leaf City Lord was already over 50 years old. He loved his wife deeply. He was a rank 5 goo master with the highest battle strength in all the surroundings. He had high authority as well as a leader's charisma. He was well supported by the people. The only imperfection was he had no children. 9 months ago, he had been ecstatic because his wife had finally gotten pregnant. He was going to have a child in his old age. His greatest regret was finally resolved. But despite him requesting for 3 famous midwives, 2 were rank 3 and 1 was rank 4, his wife's labor still encountered unexpected difficulty. How could this be? Maple Leaf City Lord wanted to get angry but had nothing to vent on. He clenched his fists. The battle strength, which he had been proud of in the past, was of no use at this moment. He had many healing goo worms, but none of them was good at helping in childbirth. Oh, he could only restrain his mood, lowering his head as he once again paced back and forth in the corridor. Wah, wah, wah. Suddenly, he heard an infant's cry. He then heard joyous laughter from the midwives. "The child is born. It is a boy. Madam, you have succeeded. I have a child. My son." Maple Leaf City Lord was stunned for a moment before turning ecstatic. He opened the door impatiently and charged in to take a look. Right at this time, a peculiar fragrance spread within the room. This peculiar fragrance was refreshing and gentle. The fragrance started to become denser, condensing into rays of colorful lights. They were like streams of water that floated in the air, covering the whole manor as well as the surrounding hundreds of li. What is this? Maple Leaf City Lord stopped his steps in astonishment. But the real shock came next. These colorful flowing lights continued to increase in numbers, and the fragrance also became increasingly intense. The rainstorm stopped abruptly. Dark clouds slowly dissipated. Sunlight pierced through the gaps between the dark clouds and shined down, the grandest ray of light among them shining on the delivery room of the city lord's wife. Then, the flowing lights started to condense into a manor-sized red lotus flower that floated in the air. It was vivid and did not dissipate for a long time. Born with a natural phenomenon. Maple Leaf City Lord was shocked. His wife and the 3 midwives were also frozen from shock. At the same time, in the sky, 3 rank 8 Gu immortals were standing on clouds and watching the city lord's manor in Maple Leaf City. They had seen the phenomenon when the baby was born. He has finally been born. The Gu immortal in the middle, Duke Mei, heaved a long sigh. He was an old man with a benevolent countenance. His brows were particularly peculiar. They were like 2 exquisite dark brown roots that extended down from his forehead to his chest. This child is extraordinary indeed. He is blessed by the destined luck of humanity. His innate blessing is so dense that it actually condensed into a grand red lotus observable to the naked eye. He is absolutely an immortal venerable seed. It was worth it that our heavenly court used 3 wisdom path Gu immortals to deduce him. Standing on the left, Gu immortal Duke Tong's side. He was a middle-aged man with a very robust physique. His face and muscles seemed to be made from brass as they let out cold metallic glister. Standing on the clouds, he looked deep like a pool and lofty like a mountain, as if he was a Vajra tower that could not be moved even if heaven and earth shook, an absolute spirit that disregarded the storms. Duke Mei nodded. Among all the immortal venerables and demon venerables in history, they share a common characteristic. They all possess the destined luck of humanity one. It is just that in some cases, the luck is not conspicuous at the early stage and is deeply concealed. Only by a certain period would the luck activate. This child caused such a phenomenon when he is just born. No wonder heaven and earth cannot tolerate him and sent down calamities and tribulations to eliminate him. This is rare, even in venerable history. If this child is nurtured properly, he will definitely become the most talented and outstanding existence among the venerables. Suddenly, Duke Mei's body shook as he coughed out a mouthful of blood. Duke Mei, Duke Tong frowned. We suffered heavy injuries to block the calamities and tribulations. Duke Mei, the Gu immortal standing at the right, also revealed a concerned expression. He was a young man with a head full of purple hair. A dragon-shaped chi aura moved around his body continuously. Duke Mei looked at the young Gu immortal. Duke Long, Fate Gu has given us the revelation. You share an extremely deep affinity with this child. This child will become a venerable, and you are his Tao guardian. Go, take him as your disciple, guide him, and nurture him. You will be the cause of his achievements, as he will be the cause of yours. You two are destined to shine brightly in the history of humanity for all eternity. Yes, I shall go now. Young Duke Long nodded. Go. Duke Tong's brows were furrowed. When we return to Heavenly Court, Duke Mei and I shall enter a very long hibernation to recuperate. The era of the 3 dukes of Heavenly Court is over. Duke Long, you will lead Heavenly Court, continue to bring prosperity to this world. I will. Duke Long restrained his excited emotions and slowly descended. His sleeves were fluttering with the wind. He waved his hand, and boundless wind surged. Endless dragon roars were heard, attracting attention and shock from everyone. In this boundless wind, he slowly flew down and landed on the manor of Maple Leaf City Lord. Including Maple Leaf City Lord, all the guards were kneeling on the ground, many of them shivering like leaves. Maple Leaf City Lord was a knowledgeable man. Knowing about Gu Immortal's existence, as well as knowing his strength, could not even resist one finger of a Gu Immortal. He forcibly calmed himself before paying respects. I, Hongzhu, pay respects to Lord Immortal. I wonder what matter Lord Immortal has descended to the mortal world for. Duke Long smiled. Hongzhu, your son is the blessed child of the world, a peerless genius that appears once in a million years with extremely rare innate talents. If he is nurtured well, he will definitely be outstanding. But if he lacks guidance, there will be huge danger to countless beings of this world. Chaos would ensue. I was happy to see such a rare talent, and for the sake of humanity, I came here to take this child as my disciple. I will carefully raise and guide him, making him into a leader of the righteous path, a Gu Immortal who seeks prosperity for the whole of humanity. Maple Leaf City Lord was both stunned and joyous at these words. He was shaken by Duke Long's words, but he had personally seen the natural phenomenon just before and was actually somewhat mentally prepared. The joy was naturally because his son received a immortal master and had boundless future prospects. He would definitely surpass his parents. Although he was a city lord with high authority, he was nothing compared to this immortal. But besides the shock and joy, Hong Zhu felt somewhat dejected. He got a child in his old age. It was not easy. But who could have thought that before he even got a chance to look at his son would be taken as a disciple by Lord Immortal. They would probably get very few chances to meet each other in the future. Duke Long immediately knew what Hong Zhu was thinking, consoling. Rest assured, I came today only to explain this matter and not to take away your son immediately. I will only bring him away when he is 10 years old, which is the correct time to start teaching him. Hong Zhu immediately felt endless excitement and expressed his thanks repeatedly. At this time, the door opened. The city lord's wife had already cleaned herself up. She came out while holding the newly born baby along with the 3 midwives and knelt on the ground, paying respects to Duke Long. Duke Long's gaze was immediately attracted towards the baby. He laughed happily as he took a step forward, immediately arriving in front of the city lord's wife. He carefully held the baby and inspected him. This baby did not have any ugliness that a newly born baby had. His head was filled with dark hair and had a very attractive and cute face. His eyes shined brightly like stars, his skin was white and tender, and his cheeks were chubby. At this time, the red lotus that was hovering in the air slowly descended while shrinking and condensing continuously. In Duke Long's vision, the red lotus eventually landed on the baby's forehead, condensing into a 9-petaled red lotus birthmark. A trace of shock flashed past Duke Long's eyes as he thought. This destined luck condensed into a birthmark, imprinted on his forehead. This phenomenon has not been seen in any venerable before. When my disciple becomes a venerable, he will probably be an extremely unique one. As he thought of this, Duke Long felt like the light baby he was holding had become as heavy as a mountain. A strong sense of mission and responsibility filled Duke Long's mind. You don't need to kneel, please stand. After inspecting for a while more, Duke Long solemnly handed the baby back to the city lord's wife. He exhaled. 3 gusts of chi flashed by. One fell on the baby while the other 2 merged inside the city lord couple. The baby immediately fell asleep with a smile on his face. The city lord couple felt boundless strength filling their limbs and bones. The city lord's wife gave a cry of shock. The weakness from giving birth was gone instantly. She burst with energy as her body condition returned to when she was young. City Lord Hong Zhu astonishingly discovered his old injuries were completely gone and his primeval essence had broken common sense, carrying a trace of green luster. His strength that was already at a level where it could not be raised further seemed to have been elevated by a large degree. Without immediately inspecting his changes, Hong Zhu first gave thanks to Duke Long along with his wife. Duke Long waved his hand. You don't need to thank me because I still need your help. The parents and the master are not interchangeable with each other. I wish that you can love each other dearly and give your son deep care. Let him feel the love and warmth of the world. This will be extremely helpful to his growth. 10 years later, I will come again. One Duke Long then slowly rose to the sky. Air currents surged around him and dragon roars were heard unceasingly, as if there was a formless wave of dragons. Mortals gazed towards the sky and saw Duke Long flying away until his figure was blocked by the clouds. After a while of deep silence, the whole city went into an uproar.